My fiancé said, "He'll be my plus one, grow up or stay home." I read the contract, assigned the venue to her and Damien, closed the joint card, canceled vendors, split bills, and sent the one-way itinerary. Then I booked dinner, arrived with someone better. Caterer read my note, refunds confirmed, groom reassigned. Face cracked, guests whispered, and her ex walked in. Guess who paid bill? I, Elias, age 37, male, had been with Camille, age 30, for 5 years. I maintained a publicly low profile, working as a senior acoustical engineer for a major environmental firm in San Diego, California. My visible salary was a stable $190,000 per year. I specialized in designing and optimizing proprietary noise reduction algorithms for industrial applications. My work was essential, but intentionally kept outside the mainstream tech spotlight. Camille worked as a luxury event planner and social media influencer. Her income was highly commission-based and averaged $110,000 annually. Our combined visible income of $300,000 was heavily stretched by Camille's demands for outward status. We owned a modern loft condo in the Gaslamp Quarter, valued at $1,500,000, which was entirely held in my family trust. I drove an old, practical Toyota Prius for my discreet commuting. Camille leased a powerful Porsche Taycan SUV to maintain her affluent client image. We frequently dined at trendy, loud rooftop restaurants for her required networking. Our wedding was scheduled for November at the Grand Coronado Ballroom. Camille's primary client and constant source of comparison was her high-profile ex-boyfriend, Damien Thorne. Damien was an arrogant investor who constantly flouted contracts and social norms. Camille constantly used Damien's loud, unpredictable style as a weapon against my methodical nature. She recently took a week-long cruise with Damien, claiming it was essential for her business. In late February, a monumental career opportunity arrived that represented the final strategic step of my plan. I was offered the executive position of Director of Global Acoustic Compliance for a major international environmental fund. The elite role was based in Zurich, Switzerland. The package was precisely the ultimate step in high finance I needed. It included a base salary of $650,000. Additionally, they offered a substantial $100,000 annual housing stipend. The total annual cash compensation was a verifiable $750,000. I waited until we were reviewing the house renovation costs before presenting the opportunity to Camille. I laid the acquisition summary on the counter. "This job is the absolute peak of my technical field," I stated calmly. "It moves us to Zurich with nearly triple the visible income," I explained, citing the massive figures. Camille did not even touch the document. She answered with immediate disdain. "Zurich is boring and the position sounds incredibly academic, Elias." "The salary is $650,000, I responded, keeping my voice level. She scoffed sharply, dismissing the entire proposition. Director of Acoustic Compliance is just a predictable, bureaucratic title. It involves strategic, multi-billion-dollar asset management, I answered steadily. She then focused on my past. "You're just a stepping stone to someone actually successful, not a destination." Her complete dismissal of my intellectual value and future plans was the final trigger. Update 1. I quietly accepted the Director of Global Acoustic Compliance position the next morning. My start date was set for the 1st of June, allowing 3 months for transition and legal finalization. I began preparing for the move and the financial split without involving Camille in any specifics. Camille shut down all discussion of the move. She frequently repeated dismissive lines, always within earshot of our mutual friends. "Elias thinks compliance is a real job," she told her friend Lauren on the phone. "It's just quiet accounting work," Lauren agreed, laughing softly. Our friends, Marco and Lauren, openly sided with Camille's focus on immediate, visible flash. They reinforced her view that my life was small and safe. "Why trade the vitality of San Francisco for Swiss neutrality, Elias?" Marco asked me once. "Professional security requires strategic positioning," I replied factually. I initiated decisive steps to secure my assets. I established a new banking relationship in Zurich, transferring the bulk of my liquid personal assets into a highly protected private trust. I quietly secured a penthouse in Zurich's desirable Inged district. Crucially, I maintained close, confidential communication with Dr. Alana Chen, the brilliant and attorney who was handling the final separation. I directed Alana to immediately finalize the purchase of the entire commercial building that housed the Grand Coronado Ballroom, the venue for our wedding. I used private funds from my trust for the acquisition, legally shielding the asset. Update 2. The confrontation arrived abruptly in late May, 1 week before her elaborate bridal shower. I had finalized the sale of the condo to my sister's trust and the legal documents with Miss Cho. I waited until Camille was finalizing her invitations in the living room. "I am moving to Basel in 2 days," I stated simply. "The divorce filing is also complete." Camille's face hardened instantly. "You cannot move and ruin my social standing with this filing." "The relocation and the legal filing are both executed," I confirmed. "The situation is final." She launched into a furious confrontation, demanding I surrender the house and cancel the job. She claimed I was betraying her future. "This is an absolute betrayal of my time," she insisted loudly. "You consistently mocked my stability and intellect," I countered calmly. She then delivered the final, predictable ultimatum, using the wedding as her ultimate weapon. She dropped her invitations onto the coffee table. "He'll be my +1, grow up or stay home," she said, referencing Damien. "I need the wedding photos for my brand." I chose my career and self-respect, knowing her ultimate weapon was now in my control. I smiled, nodded calmly. I let her pack her bags and walk out the door. The next morning, I read the venue contract, assigned the venue rights to her and Damien, closed the joint credit card, canceled the caterers and all major vendors, split the last utility bills, and sent the one-way itinerary to Julian's email. I also notified all major guests I had withdrawn from the wedding. I packed my final bag and drove to the airport. Update 3. The fallout over the next weeks was precisely as brutal as intended. Camille's final insult about the stepping stone was met with the financial devastation of her entire wedding. Her vendors were canceled, her bank accounts were frozen, and she could not recover the large deposits she assumed were safe. Camille immediately cycled through disbelief and intense anger. She sent me frantic, unintelligible messages demanding an explanation for the vendor cancellations. "You deliberately ruined my wedding," she accused me loudly in a text. "I exercised the cancellation clauses in the contracts," I replied factually. She was forced to confront the separation and the massive financial damage to her social image. She refused to acknowledge the reality, trapped in denial. Moving day was quiet and efficient. Camille was absent, frantically trying to resuscitate her wedding plans. The bridal shower, held at the very expensive hotel she insisted upon, was the setting for the climax. I arrived precisely 30 minutes late, with Dr. Alana Chen. I had prepaid the catering manager to deliver a final, public note. The note detailed the vendor cancellations and the fact that the groom reassigned was complete. The crowd was silent as the note was read. Then, Lucas, her ex-boyfriend, walked into the banquet hall, utterly confused by his unexpected one-way ticket confirmation. The sheer shock on Camille's face, her face cracked, guests whispered, was the final scene. I remained calm and analytically detached through the public spectacle. My focus was entirely on the high-level transition to Basel. My emotional state was stable and entirely focused on my new responsibilities. My first detailed view of my new life in Basel, Switzerland, was one of immense efficiency and strategic calm. The city was pristine and historic. My new office felt significant. My penthouse apartment in Vorstadt provided stunning views of the Rhine. I started the new job that Monday morning. The work was complex, demanding, and intellectually stimulating. Update 4, I was quickly thriving professionally in the new environment. The role required decisive leadership and analytical precision in global investment strategy. My team was highly supportive and respected my ethics. Socially, I embraced the city's stability and intellectual rigor. I joined a high-end gym and attended local cultural festivals. My relationship with Dr. Alana Chen, the M&A attorney who secured the entire separation, deepened. Alana was moving her successful legal practice to Zurich, managing my private financial strategy. Financially, the change was dramatic. The $750,000 package was only the start. My personal wealth, protected in the trust, was secure. I purchased a high-end, all-electric Porsche-taken sedan for my travel. My lifestyle improvement was controlled, focused entirely on investment and stability. In October, I achieved my first major milestone, successfully leading a critical asset acquisition. This earned me a substantial mid-year performance bonus of $100,000. The phrase she used, stepping stone, was now the ironic fuel for my continued success. The humiliation of the bridal shower, groom reassigned, was confirmed to me by several mutual acquaintances who reached out in disbelief. Around this time, the first hesitant tendrils of Camille's network began reaching out. Marco, the friend who had mocked my move, sent me a tentative LinkedIn message. "Hey Elias, is that executive job real?" his message read. "The work is complex and financially rewarding," I replied politely. Deanna, his wife, reached out to Anya, confused. Anya politely confirmed my new status and her partnership with me. The public humiliation was complete. Update 5, in December, I decided to make my career success completely public and undeniable. I posted a detailed update on LinkedIn describing the successful acquisition and my role. I included a professional photo of myself in the Basel office. The post was factual and professional, detailing my title, Chief Innovation Officer, CIO. Camille quickly learned the full truth about my wealth and status. She had minimized and mocked the job offer for months. She now saw undeniable proof of a private fortune and the highest executive title. Within hours of the post, Camille sent me a flood of pleading messages, alternating between demanding explanations and emotional accusations. "You knew the entire time that you were rich," she claimed furiously. "My salary was correct for my consulting role," I responded with factual clarity. "You should have shared your full inheritance," she argued illogically. "The premarital assets were legally protected," I countered. Marco and Deanna sent explicit apology emails. Marco confessed that Camille had convinced them I was a timid analyst running from a bad life. "We feel completely foolish for not seeing your strategic intelligence," Marco wrote. "My sister, Ava, called from the States. Your victory for strategic silence is complete, Elias," Ava confirmed. Update 6. In late January, Camille flew to Basel unannounced. She claimed she was there for a vague real estate investment seminar, but admitted her true purpose was to see me. She called my office line and asked to meet. I agreed to meet her at a quiet, public cafe near the lake. When she sat down, she immediately launched into a practice performance. She claimed she had spent the last year realizing her life was too focused on material possessions. "I see things clearly now, Elias," she said, looking straight at me. "What exactly do you see clearly?" I asked, holding my coffee cup steadily. "I see I was foolish and overly focused on the wrong things," she continued, her voice soft. I referred only to her past actions and her final insult. "You called me a stepping stone," I stated the fact. "That was only out of fear of loss," she responded quickly. I then referenced her inability to secure any funds from my family assets due to her action. "Your circumstances changed, not your character," I told her firmly. She shifted tactics and insisted on returning, attempting to appeal to our shared past. "I want to come back to Zurich," she said. "We can try again." I declined calmly, explaining that the separation was permanent and the ethical breach was too great. "My future is secured by trust," I told her firmly. Update 7. Camille did not accept the decline gracefully. She attempted a brief, aggressive period of legal retaliation. Her first move was to send a letter demanding a cut of the premarital inheritance. The letter was poorly constructed. My lawyer, Dr. Anya Chen, managed the legal attempt efficiently. Dr. Chen sent a clinically precise reply that cited the finality of the divorce and the legal structure of the inherited property. The lawyer ceased contact immediately after receiving Dr. Chen's letter. Online, Camille tried to damage my professional reputation. She posted vague accusations on a popular finance forum, implying my fund management was based on insider information. She claimed I was a ruthless corporate criminal. Her online claims quickly collapsed under scrutiny. Marco and Deanna, already aware of her deception, publicly defended my ethics. My firm issued a neutral but firm statement destroying her credibility. Update 8. 1 year later, my life in Basel had achieved a stable, prosperous equilibrium. I was wealthier, more established as CIO, and deeply satisfied with my independence. My salary was now $750,000, reflecting my permanent title. I was in a committed, respectful relationship with Dr. Alana Chen. We were engaged to be married and lived together in the Vorstedt penthouse. In May, on the anniversary of our final conversation, Camille sent a final, short message of regret via an old email address. "I realize my terrible mistake," the email read. "I should have valued the man, not the income," she continued. I took the time to craft a short, polite reply that closed the door completely. "I wish you well in your future endeavors," I wrote briefly. I then immediately archived the message. Final update: 6 months after the final email, I was visiting San Francisco for a brief conference. While hosting a dinner for potential investors, I was approached by Mr. Alastair Thorne, the head of the catering company I had hired for the disastrous bridal shower. Mr. Thorne had always been dismissive of my work. Mr. Thorne apologized to me, his voice low and serious. "Elias, I need to apologize for my firm's part in the awkwardness." He admitted his own mistake in accepting the contract and ignoring the warning signs. He confessed that he had initially believed my low-profile job meant I lacked true ambition. "I wrongly assumed external wealth was the only metric," Mr. Thorne stated. He then reflected on the core insult. Guess who paid bill? Mr. Thorne noted that his catering staff were still discussing the fact that Damien, the ex, ended up being charged for the entire aborted reception and the ensuing chaos. "That was the most memorable corporate event we ever serviced, thanks to your final note." I accepted his apology with a calm understanding. I acknowledged that his admission was significant. I explained that my actions were based on defending my self-worth from predictable financial manipulation. My reflection on the entire process yielded a direct life lesson. Never let anyone define your value, especially when your greatest asset is the anonymity of your success. I secured peace by publicly dismantling her wedding and finding a partner who saw my worth before the wealth.